Many of us have ideas about what good posture is. You imagine that your parents say, hey, sit up straight, and they want you to pull your chest up high and pull your shoulders back and tuck your stomach in and tuck your butt under and do all kinds of things. I believe that it's possible to make it so that you train your body so that it always has great posture. So good posture is what you manufacture so that it looks like the bones are all lined up. But great posture is when it happens naturally and effortlessly. You don't have to even think about it. Most important, the purpose of having great posture in the first place is so that the bones can do the work of weight bearing and the muscles can do the work of movement. What I found is that great posture is the foundation of vitality and pain-free living. I'm working in the Olympics. I was one of the 35 people chosen from among 2,000 nationwide applicants to be on the first Olympic sports massage team. I was helping athletes with stretching and massage and the breath. And what was happening was that their sports performance was getting better and better and better. I had some clients after the Olympics who asked me to work out with them. And what was happening was I was helping them work out, and this synthesis of the workouts plus the hands-on body work to twist and bend and remodel the body so that it gets the best performance, that the bones are lined up, that the joints are lined up. That was making a difference. And I kept doing it in every circumstance that I could until I had this body of work. Now, I've taught over 1,000 people how to do all or parts of what I do as professionals. And then I've also written 3 books and over 100 articles.
So I have always been interested in taking care of myself, but back in my 20s and 30s, it was pretty easy. I just was pretty careful about, exercising and eating right and sleeping, and I felt good. And as I started getting older, especially in my 40s, I started to notice that I could eat right, I could sleep, I could take vitamins, still didn't really feel the best. And then in my mid to late 40s, I started gaining weight in weird places, like all over my back and stomach, and I could exercise for hours, and I thought I was doing it right, and coaches would tell me I was doing it right, and I still had the same issues. So I was really looking for something at around the time that I found out about reposturing, and I went with a friend to the Face and Body show, and I learned about it, and I thought, I don't know if it's different than anything else, because I've tried chiropractic, and I've tried massage, and meditation, and yoga, and everything. And, you get one step further, but then one step back. So I was open to trying something new, and also I'm now in my early 50s. So turning 53 soon, and I'm like, it's now or never. I want to feel better. I'm going to give it a shot. Just knowing that even in one session, I started to feel the difference. After that first session, I was breathing differently, which is something I had done lots of exercises on my own to try to change, and I wasn't able to create a change. Whereas in one session, my breath changed, and in one session, bigger things were happening with my posture. So if I took a class, an exercise class, it might be 3 months before I really saw any difference at all. Whereas in the first session, I already started to see, I'm feeling a difference now, immediately. So that made me think I'd like to see an even bigger difference.
Excellent. That's exactly what we needed.
I wear certain shoes, they squeeze together and there's a nerve pain.
Yeah.
It goes zzz like that.
Okay.
And I have to get that in tight toe boxes, and I have to take them off right away. It's really painful. I talk to people all the time. They all tell me that they know somebody who had bunion surgery, or I should prepare myself for bunion surgery. And I'm like, no, not wanting bunion surgery. And one of the biggest reasons that I came to reposturing, and I should say I didn't know in the beginning, but after our first session, when I realized that it was possible to avoid bunion surgery, I realized that's something that I want to do. And my toes look completely different, and I can wiggle them like my hands now, and I can walk 33% faster. It was measured, and I feel really good about it. They're getting longer, and there is no pain in the bunions anymore. So I'm working, the right one is really coming along nicely. The left one, you can see how it's really turned in. It's coming out. And I have more movement and control in the toes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're coming along nicely.
Great. Imagine that your feet are supposed to walk straight. And let's say this is the big toe. If you're walking straight, your body tends to swing with the legs swinging perpendicular to gravity. But then, if for some reason the pelvis tilts at the top, it makes the feet go out to the side. So when you're walking, the push-off point right here, if the toe is sideways, that process will bend the toes over time. And what we do with reposturing is uh, correct the uprightness of the pelvis and restore the natural muscle tension balance to the muscles that manage the relationship between the pelvis and the legs. That straightens the feet out. And then you can straighten the toes with not only direct pressure with the toes going straight, but also training the toe and the entire leg and hip to work with the legs being straight.
I'm in an industry where people have to measure results. As a speech coach, I don't just do some foo-foo, I have to actually produce results. So what I loved is when I came, there was actually measurement of me. Just like in a medical community, there would be measurement and ownership. So there's going to be a result in the end. And I felt comfortable knowing, hey, he's measuring things to make sure that we get a result. So the other things that I tried, I had to stop and think about all the things they taught me to think about. And during the day, I don't have time to say, what is my neck doing? What is my back doing? How am I seated? I mean, I've learned to do that over time, but I keep forgetting and lapsing into bad patterns. And what I love about reposturing is it changes something, and then I get to experience what's different. And I felt like my metabolism changed and I could eat twice as much. I started to just feel good all the time. I felt like I was younger.
Are you actually gaining weight while this is going on?
No, I'm losing weight.
You're losing weight.
I actually lost 7 pounds and I eat 2 to 3 times as much as I used to, which was the normal amount I ate in my 20s and 30s. Because I feel it. I go anywhere I want, I eat whatever I want. I always did that my whole life until about 10 years ago when, I could gain weight eating a carrot. Something was wrong, and I tried all kinds of stuff, and nothing worked. And so I just sort of started eating less. But I never really felt right about it. I just felt like, this is weird. I don't really enjoy that part of my life anymore. I'll just eat carrots, But now I eat anything. I can absolutely eat anything I want, just like before.
It's very often that people come in and they're a little bit heavier than they like. And what happens with reposturing is as their body goes more upright, the body redistributes fat and water to make your body weight balanced. And anything that's extra tends to just melt away. You don't even have to think about it. For women, it tends to happen over 4 to 6 months. For men, it can happen in 1 month. Let gravity pull your body this way. Feel the ribcage rising.
I decided to look up reposturing because it was time to. My shoulders were really tight. I was starting to feel pain when I turned my neck. I just was starting to feel very uncomfortable. He did this long, hour-long analysis of my body and measured everything and sit down. I mean, it was a pretty thorough examination, if you will, of my body and how it's aligned. I don't know. I guess I just felt safe in knowing that I was in the right place. But it was painful, but I was honestly, at the end of it, I was surprised at how much straighter I was walking and how much more further back my shoulders were from the examination before the first one, and then after, it was like night and day.
Okay, so what I'm doing is looking at the capacity of the breath and what moves. In an ideal and perfect world, the shoulders would be way back way back here, and then the top would open up. But in your case, when the shoulders are here, nothing happens. So that's what we want to make. I'll be checking afterward.
And then the real light that flashed on for me when I was driving home is I got into my car and I couldn't see out my rearview mirror because it was so much lower, because I had been sitting so much taller after that first session. So I had to readjust my rearview mirror. It works fast. I mean, I've been through so many of those therapy sessions, and you go in there week after week and you're never, I don't know, it just seems like it works so much faster. After the first time you felt a difference. It was more aggressive, I feel like.
So even a lot of stuff I do today is influenced partly by the opening phrase, to boldly go where no man has gone before. And it's like, in my head, there's gotta be a way to do everything that you can imagine that needs to get done. Come on over, we're gonna do some stretching for you. If I was going to solve one problem, it would be the scourge of slouching. And what happens when a person sits down is the shoulders go forward and compresses the height of the rib cage. If the rib cage goes down, the neck goes forward. And if the neck goes forward, the bones can't do the work of weight bearing to support the weight of the head. So the muscles have to contract to prevent you from falling in on yourself. So if you do this day after day, every time you sit down, something goes awry. Something gets compressed. And this leads to long-term chronic problems with mobility, with freedom of movement, with digestion, with stress management, as well as the ergonomics of high productivity at your workstation. So if I was going to solve one problem, I would use reposturing to solve the problem of slouching.
Your head pokes forward, your shoulders slump, your stomach. Well, take a look.
Yes, Adrienne, the mirror may have gone crazy, but for the first time, it's telling you the truth. Like a lot of boys and girls, your posture is your problem.
When you're young or when you're a kid and you have your first phone or you can use all the technology around you, you don't realize that you're setting up the foundation of a serious problem. But when people get old, what happens is you notice that you're shuffling across the street. You notice that you try to get out of a chair and it takes a little bit longer. You notice that you can't do as many things as easily as you used to be able to do. Even turning over in bed can be challenging for you. I believe that we have so many problems that are really slouching related that we've only begun to scratch the surface. Breathe again. 1. Go to 3.
So at the time, I would, my whole right side would go numb whenever I rode my motorcycle. So figured I'd give it a try and went to see Aaron, and lo and behold, after about, I don't know how many sessions, but after a few sessions, and I too didn't have to suffer numbness on my right side every time I rode the motorcycle.
Mr. Levy's numbness subsided partly because we started to decompress the pressure that was on his nerve. Well, he rides a motorcycle and he works on a keyboard all day long, so his shoulders are really strong. Plus, what he may not have told you is that he was a competitive gymnast in high school and college, so his shoulders are really, really strong. And being so strong, it left his shoulders forward. That means that the weight of the arms plus whatever he's holding, even if it's a motorcycle, tends to compress down on the nerve. What we did with reposturing was lift the rib cage up, pull the shoulders back, and distribute the weight of his arms to the bones properly, through the joint properly. And that's why not only does the pain subside, but the mobility comes back as well.
Most people live a sedentary lifestyle. I know now that I'm in my 60s that it's getting harder to maintain flexibility and strength when I'm sitting in front of a computer, even when I'm standing in front of a computer all day long. So things get out of whack. So I think that either to fix an existing problem or for remedial purposes, not a bad idea to go to a posture to make sure that you're maintaining good posture. Good posture equals good health, in my mind.
You, Adrienne, you can not only do good things for your health, but before too long you can walk right up to that crazy mirror in your room, and this time the mirror will be surprised. You will have the last laugh. And what is more important, you'll know that you can be proud of your posture.
If we solve the problem of having poor posture a long time ago, there are so many things that wouldn't happen today. Bunions, headaches, circulation issues. There's so many things that are related to posture that it should have been a science a long time ago. It should have been a field of study a long time ago that people would have as an expertise. Now, what's needed is some kind of postural education for all professionals in physical medicine. So everything from the podiatrist with the feet to the ear, nose, and throat doctor who's working with the headaches, or even someone who's working in sleep medicine, so that with the rib cage open and the shoulders back, maybe breath and breathing can happen a lot easier for people who have trouble breathing at night. So there are a lot of aspects of health care that would be accentuated and bring people the relief they want if you include posture.